Welcome everyone. Today we are doing a partner spotlight. My name is Getchins Cadet with Cumula 3 Group, and on the line with me we have Cheyenne Rasgu and also Eric Ribeiro. So Cheyenne and I will go through most of the PowerPoint, and Eric will do the demo for us. Let's go ahead and get started. We have about 40 minutes worth of content to review with you. And as part of the agenda, we'll do some of the introduction. We'll also cover the ideal customer profile. We'll go through some of the SKUs that are available to purchase this particular product, and then we'll get into the demo itself. And at the very end, we'll have time for a Q&A. So a little bit of a housekeeping here. As we are going through the presentation and the demo, you are more than welcome to specifically pose your questions, and we will capture all those questions and make sure that they are answered at the end of the session today. All right, let's go ahead and get started. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Getchins Cadet with Cumula 3 Group. I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and I head the business development team here at Cumula 3 Group. As part of this partner spotlight, we have Appficiency, and Appficiency has built a purpose-built construction application that is built inside of NetSuite, and that's what we're going to go over with you today. And with me on this webinar is Cheyenne Rasgu and Eric Ribeiro. Cheyenne and Eric, can you say hello?
For sure. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. My name is Cheyenne Rasgu. I'm the Channel and Product Marketing Manager here at Appficiency, and excited to go through our suite of products.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today during today's webinar. My name is Eric Ribeiro. I'm a solution consultant here at Appficiency, and I'm based out of Boston, Massachusetts. My main focus here at Appficiency is working with construction and construction-like customers that are evaluating our solutions along with NetSuite. And so with that, thank you all again for joining, and looking forward to walking you all through our solution.
All right, awesome. All right, let's talk about a little bit about who we are, and we'll dive right into it. So Cumula 3 Group, we are a NetSuite solution provider, and we have been in this ecosystem for a very long time, 10 years to be exact, and we focus specifically on the entire NetSuite ecosystem. So when you come to evaluate NetSuite through Cumula 3 Group, we will make sure that everything that is NetSuite related we can help you with, and anything adjacent to NetSuite we can also help you with, and that includes Appficiency as well. We follow the golden rule as a company, so that what that means is we put our clients first, and we make sure that when you are evaluating Cumula 3 Group, you are taken care of. We look at it through the lens of, if we were in your shoes purchasing product, how would we want to be treated? And that's how we go through this process. We are a 5-star solution provider. We have over 265 clients under our portfolio, and that makes us the 3rd largest solution provider here in North America. And we're very happy that you guys are here to really go through this process here. And our certified consultants have more than 50 NetSuite certifications, and that's how we are able to help customers in any genre, including construction. All right, now to set the stage, let's really talk about what NetSuite is all about, because before we get into the Appficiency application, it's very important for you to understand that NetSuite is essentially the first cloud computing company, and it was built from the ground up as a cloud product. So what that means is it did not go from on-premise to the cloud, and that allows us to really be a lot more advanced from an ERP point of view. It's a global unit of Oracle NetSuite, and Oracle has made vast investments into NetSuite, and the product has grown tremendously, and NetSuite continues to add new features as a result of those investments. And so what that tells me is this company is very stable, and it's also reliable, because it allows you the opportunity to really take advantage of some of the advanced capabilities that are available on the market. All right. Now, go ahead. Some of the key benefits of NetSuite to highlight, and then we'll transition. Number one, cloud-based product. So therefore, you can access it from anywhere. That allows you to really have a workforce that can be anywhere. You are able to source the best resources to work within your company in order to really highlight and really advance the company. You have one system to manage your entire business. So whether it's CRM, the operations, inventory, field management, you name it, it can all be combined inside of NetSuite. And also NetSuite has an open API, which allows you to connect other systems into NetSuite. That way you have the one source of truth inside of NetSuite when it comes to your dashboards, your reports. You could bring all of that data inside of NetSuite in order to really take advantage of the powerful insights that NetSuite can provide you. NetSuite typically pays for itself in about a year. That's the feedback that we get from our client. And that occurs through all the efficiencies that NetSuite is able to bring to the table with the implementation. In addition, a lot of customers tell us that they use those efficiencies to really help spearhead their growth, and therefore really allows them to be ahead of their competition as a result of that. And the best way to do this is really leveraging the dashboards that NetSuite has to offer. That way you, as a company owner or leader, you can set up your KPIs in real time and really make decisions that are valuable to you, decisions that really are based on facts. And that way you can really make sure that you are taking advantage of the market shifts, any changes in the market, and any changes within the company itself in order to make those decisions. All right. Now, this would be my last slide here. And it's very important for you to also understand that NetSuite is a modularized system. So on top of being on the cloud, it's a modularized system. So which means that you purchase just the software that you need, just the modules that you need to run the business. And as a result, you don't overpay for the software. You don't overpay for technology that you don't need. So if you need, for example, just the financials, then that's what you get. That's what you purchase. If you need the CRM, then that's what you get. So again, we make sure when you go through this process of evaluating NetSuite, you purchase just the product that you need. Now, one key point I'd like to highlight is BFN in the top right-hand corner. It's built for NetSuite. That's an entire ecosystem of products that are built inside of NetSuite. And these products really allow customers to take advantage of the latest technologies that some of the partners within the NetSuite ecosystem have built in order to further enhance NetSuite. So that's what Appficiency is. So it's a purpose-built product that is built inside of NetSuite that you can take advantage of, and that product will help you advance the construction business. And so that's what we will be discussing today. So at this point, I'll go ahead and transition over to Cheyenne. Cheyenne will go through the profile and then get into the product itself. Cheyenne?
Awesome. Thanks, Kedjens. So a little bit about Appficiency before we get into the products. We were founded over a decade ago now, in 2014, as a NetSuite solution, as a NetSuite implementation partner, really with the focus to solve the most complex problems in the industry. However, down the road, about 5 years ago, we realized that there's really an opportunity for us to go to the construction vertical and create software on top of NetSuite that focuses its powerful yet generalized suite of tools towards construction. And our software adds to its capabilities by really tailoring the software around all of the day-to-day needs of construction financial managers. So that was over 5-6 years ago. Ever since, we've continued to grow our product and expanded on our network. Right now, we're a global business, and we're actually proud to be one of the only partners. So next slide. To have a dedicated team of over 25 engineers that live and breathe construction. Their whole purpose is to build a new construction-based software on top of NetSuite. We also have 30+ dedicated and trained consultants that are focused on helping construction managers expand their business and grow their margins. And we have proven our software's capabilities by helping over 60 construction logos ever since really take advantage of our full suite of products. As a result, we've been able to cover some of the key industry gaps like AAA billing, being able to calculate different union payroll rates, and as well provide a verifiable construction work in progress reporting calculations all throughout the system. We're also offering a second-generation Procore integration that really circumvents all of the problems that already existed with the integrator between Procore and NetSuite because of our unique data model. And we're able to fully coordinate all of the information across the two systems for financial managers who take full advantage of the system. Awesome. So a little bit about the customer profiles that we serve. In general, we have broken down the construction industry into 3 micro verticals, as we call them, based on their mutually exclusive software needs. So in terms of processes, there may be some overlap, but what really matters to us is how can we tailor that software around the day-to-day of the financial managers, as I mentioned. So on the left side, you can see owners and general contractors. And as the name suggests, they're the ones that are responsible for the overall progression of the success of the construction project. They usually have several specialty or subcontractors and are acting as a bridge between the owner and the architect and engineering firms and the actual field where the building is happening. As a result, they have a really strong need for resource management and being able to consolidate change orders throughout the project and be able to report their progress in a logical and compliant manner for payments to actually be processed and for them to get paid and for their specialty traders to actually be able to do the job. Now, moving on to specialty traders, those are the actual doers in the construction industry. So, your carpenters, your roofers, usually they have the need for hiring equipment or they own their own equipment. So they need to be able to calculate and track the cost incurred in their projects, not just based on labor, but based on all of the different breakdowns in cost types and as well cost codes or work codes as the industry is more used to it. So that's where our job costing solution will come into play, which we'll definitely discuss in further depth. And lastly, we have our construction and engineering to order. I know it's booked there in ETO. They're a unique set of firms, and that's why we really say we don't just support construction, it's construction and construction adjacent firms, because ETO is really like a mix of manufacturing and construction. They have one-off projects, low volume, but each project is really big and everything is customized. So some of the examples that we have are folks that build roller coasters, for example, for amusement parks. So you can imagine the project would take several years and it would be very expensive. However, it would be 1 or 2 projects at a time. So that really shows our ability to be able to customize everything, regardless of the depth of the tools. We can actually mold it around each company and make sure everything is very smooth for you. Awesome. So a quick overview of our construction products. I know Eric will go in further depth in the demo, and that's what everyone's looking for. But in terms of job costing, that's where we can budget and track all of our project cost and revenue metrics. So this is where you can see your change orders, your sales orders, vendor bills, and more importantly, your budget at completion and work in progress at a period by period, and within those projects at the task level. And it allows you to actually create reports and look at it from a temporal viewpoint. The project dashboard is an add-on to the job costing module. So it actually allows you to show all of those metrics in a visual format and get a really great overview of your project's financial health, your company's financial health at a glance. The estimate to project sync, number 3, allows working in NetSuite to be easier. It automatically syncs your appropriate tasks from an estimate to the actual project management modules where your PMs can go and assign these tasks to your field. And retainage, I'm sure everybody here has heard a lot about it. We support withholding and release of retainage, both on AR and AP sides, really with a click of a button. And all of this is reflected in your GL and your books. And lastly, our progress billing allows general contractors and construction professionals to track the progression of the project based on costs incurred and materials stored. And as well, it allows them to generate printed reports specifically as a new addition in AIA certified format. So this is my shameless plug here. One of our newest additions to the solution has been our certified AIA contract generator. So if you at all have worked with any owners or you worked with getting loans or draws from banks, I'm sure you've heard of the requirements for you to show your calculations, your change orders, sales orders, and your retainage in a specific AIA compliant format. Usually there's a lot of headache with this process, with folks having to print things manually, but our certified product does everything within the ERP for you. So it does all of the calculations, does all of the filling of the form and printing it for you, just send it to your architects to get certified. So that's an overview of our suite of products. I'll pass it on to Eric now to actually get into the demo and show you all the magic.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheyenne. And so for the next 25 minutes, I hope everyone has their favorite beverage in hand, has their seatbelts tightened, and are ready for a walkthrough of our solution within NetSuite. And so with that, if I could share my screen here. Here we are. Gatjins, Cheyenne, give me 2 thumbs up if you can see it. Awesome. Perfect. And so first, what we'll focus on is quickly some of the dashboarding capabilities that not only NetSuite has, but what our solution ultimately enables you with within the platform with our data model. And so quickly, as we go through this, I'm going to highlight some of the reporting functionalities that you have at your disposal. And so quickly, I just want to focus on the home dashboard for a minute here. And so I've primarily configured my dashboard for this webinar to really focus on project level data. We know as contractors, as people in the construction industry, projects are probably the meat and potatoes of what we do. And so for today's conversation, we'll definitely focus more on project management, specifically job costing, job cost reporting, and progress billing. And so at a high level, right, these dashboards ultimately can be configured to the specific user in that system, in NetSuite in this case, right? And so as I mentioned earlier, these dashboards, extremely flexible, extremely configurable. And so what we're seeing here is you can start to track the metrics and the financial information that's most important to you as a contractor, as a project manager, or even as a controller, right? So we can see here, we can surface KPIs related to our projects, what's been billed and invoiced versus, how much cost have we actually incurred for all of our projects, right? We can have specific job metrics related to, deferred or recognized revenue versus total contract value. And I'll actually get into this a little bit later as we start to talk about WIP schedules and the importance of being able to calculate WIP in a very accounting, construction-focused solution. Scrolling down below, Cheyenne alluded to how we support multiple different aspects of construction accounting, retainage, progress billing. These are all things that we can surface and we can handle within NetSuite's platform. So you can see if you have requirements around AR retainage, AP retainage, we can surface those types of things and handle those types of workflows so you have visibility and you have control over those specific areas of your business. And then down below, really the backbone of any really strong construction accounting platform is the ability to generate and have access to WIP reports. Now, what's unique about NetSuite is these WIP reports ultimately can be configured to your specific needs. So this is one flavor that I typically like to show sort of as the art of the possible. Ultimately, what this WIP report is going to allow us to do is understand project by project, but also across all of our projects, what our percent cost complete is, and then what our WIP or over under billings are. And there's a bunch of different metrics that you can ultimately track. again, depending on what your requirements are from your original contracts to your change order values as that project is progressing. But the two main focal points that I want to focus on are really cost complete and WIP. And so as we start to think about the importance of those specific metrics and tracking those period over period, project over project, these have significant impact in your cash flow, because cost complete will generally drive how much you're billing period to period, project to project, and then WIP, which will impact your financial reporting, specifically your income statement, as you get your financials reviewed, perhaps by a CPA firm, perhaps by a bank, right, for specific loans. They want to see consistent reporting across your financials and across your projects to make sure that you're not overstating or understating your financials. And so, these are just a couple examples of what you can do with your, NetSuite dashboard. And this is more at a summarized level view, but we can also see project level data and project level visualizations for individual projects. And I often hear this with many of the customers and many of the prospects evaluating our solution, where it's great to get a summarized level, but they want to be able to dig into the solution and dig into the project and get project specific metrics. And now with our construction project dashboard, you have the ability to leverage all of the job costing metrics that come out of the box with our solution. And that's up to 16 different granular metrics that you can track on any given project, whether that be breaking out your costs or breaking out your revenue metrics. You can start to track that and chart those values in very user-friendly visualizations. I like to say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it starts to tell you a story of how we're progressing on this project period over period. And so if I wanted to just highlight quickly, what are my approved cost changes and billings to date? Very simple and very easy to get that type of visibility. I wanted to understand how my profit has been progressing period over period. Again, very simple visualizations to get that type of visibility. As I scroll down, we can also start to chart out different budget and cost trend analyses. So we can see total cost by period. Also, we could see cumulative cost and how that has changed. Again, telling you a story of how our costs are progressing month over month, period over period, as this project is moving along. And then down below, one of the unique things about our projects is you can break out your data however you see fit. Commonly in the construction industry, we see four main categories of cost. We see labor, we see subcontractor labor, we see materials, and we see equipment, right? Oftentimes you'll see overhead and burden costs and things of that nature. But you can start to visualize and understand, how much of your original budget is being consumed by these different cost types. Again, just another tool to understand how costs are progressing period over period. And then one of my favorite, or a few of my favorite charts that I always like to show is the ability to start to chart out your percentage of completion and your WIP and your earned revenue and get a visualization of how that is progressing on a given project, right? And this is automatically being calculated and generated as transactions are entering the system. So it's not like you have to update this in an Excel file, aggregate data from different systems, and do what I like to call Excel gymnastics, right? The system is doing all the heavy lifting for you and charting out these graphs as people start to transact in the system, as bills are being entered, as vendor and supplier costs are being accrued and entered into the platform. And so what you're seeing here, again, is just a tool that's very user-friendly to understand how your costs are progressing month over month and what percentage of completion you have for your project in any given period. And so you can see for the month of June, we're at about 41.38% complete for this given project, right? And then down below, we can calculate our earned revenue based off of that cost complete, right? So we have a total contract value multiplied by that cost complete, giving you your total earned revenue to date and how that has changed period over period. And then we sort of mold those two charts together and start to understand, well, what's my earned revenue versus my billings to date, and how is that impacting my over and under billings, or what some people refer to as my WIP. Right. And so this is the important aspect, because this is going to be the impact to your financials. right? And so we don't want to overstate or understate our income statement. So having this visibility gives you an idea of where this project is in its current state. Are we cash flowing the project, or are we ahead of our costs and we're in a positive net cash flow for our project? And not only can you see this on a project by project basis, but as I mentioned earlier, you also have the ability to generate this WIP report to understand your over and under billings across all your projects, right? And so if I scroll down below here, we can see we're not necessarily in a positive cash flow here. It looks like we're using our own money to keep these projects ongoing. And so maybe this is just a clerical issue where, someone on the AR just has to get invoices out on a timely manner, or perhaps we're incurring a lot more cost than we had originally budgeted, right? So this gives you the insight that you need to be more proactive, right? Less reactive, be able to drill into these different projects and understand how we can ensure that we have enough cash flow in our reporting revenue in an accurate way. And on that note, I want to take us through an example here that will illustrate and really tell the story of why and how NetSuite handles and manages WIP, and specifically the percentage of completion method of accounting here. All right, and so if we just imagine for a moment, we're a controller for a construction company, and we've been asked to generate our financial statements so our CPA can review them and affirm their accuracy. And so let's assume that we have a project in the books with a total contract value of $350,000, and we've estimated that to complete this project, it'll cost us about $290,000. And so what this means, before the project begins, we expect to profit around $60,000, or around 17% margin. Not great, not bad, pretty standard from what I see. But let's now assume, right, for a moment, that to date, so far, our company has incurred about $120,000 worth of costs on this project. But let's also assume that so far we've billed $185,000. So there's a lot of information we can work with here, right? So for this project to date, we've netted a profit of around $65,000 or 35%, or have we, right? If we looked at this on an income statement, we would see that we have a revenue of $185,000 and we have a cost of goods sold of $120,000. Now, that's quite a different profit margin than what we initially expected, right? We're making $65,000 and we're showing a 35% margin. How could that be when the project actually had an estimated 17% margin? So this is exactly why the percentage of completion method of accounting is really important for contractors to take into account, right? In order for us to have accurate financial reports that represent the current state of all the different elements that occur during a project, what we really need to do is calculate earned revenue. And so as we know, contractors can bill during different times on a project, depending on the agreed upon terms with their client or customer. But that doesn't mean that's how much revenue they've actually earned and should be reporting on an income statement. So this is where the power of a really strong construction accounting platform can ensure you have the backbone in place to support percentage of completion method of accounting and make it easy for the accounting team. And so how do we calculate earned revenue, right? So we start by finding out what the percentage of completion is. So we're going to take that cost to date and we're going to divide it by that estimated cost of the entire project. So in this case, $120,000 divided by 290,000 in this case, right? And so by doing that, we find that 41.3% is complete for this project. Now we're going to take that 41.3% and multiply it by that contract price, or a total contract amount. So that's going to give us an earned revenue dollar amount of roughly $144,000. So now you compare that to our billings of $185,000, that's not equal. Billings to date do not equal earned revenue. And so there's a difference here of roughly $41,000. So this is what we call an overbilling. We billed in excess of what we've earned. And so there's also the potential to be underbilled, right? What if we had only billed for $100,000. Well, in that case, we would have been underbilled by about 44,000. So it's important to remember and understand that billings to date very rarely equal earned revenues. And that's when over and under billing adjustments come into play on the financial side of things, right? So we need to have a solution like NetSuite in place that's going to automate the calculation of over under billings, as well as make adjustments to the proper GL accounts at the end of the month. Right? Oftentimes you'll hear many companies doing this in Excel, and it's very easy to fat finger or make a mistake when entering, large numbers, and especially if you have hundreds of different lines, hundreds of different projects happening, it's time consuming, it's a lot of energy, and it's not very efficient. And so having a solution that can automate this calculation, can give you that visibility in real time, it's critical to make sure that you're reporting on your financials accurately. And so now if we apply that overbilling adjustment to our billings, you can see a total revenue after adjustment of $144,000. So we're now at 17% net profit, which is very different from the 35% margin that was calculated when we didn't use the percent of complete accounting method. So this is exactly what the WIP schedule does. What WIP does is it balances out your gross profit, so you evenly recognize profit over that duration of the job. And so WIP either is going to pump the brakes or it's going to put its foot on the gas and say, wait a second, without WIP, you're recognizing 35%. That doesn't make sense. And so because the total you technically will recognize over the course of the job is 17%. So you're being really aggressive here. And so this is all because of timing. And so if we shift gears and jump back into NetSuite, right, and jump back into how our solution ultimately calculates this for you in the background as transactions are happening throughout the platform, right? So if I hop back into my project record here, you can see we're automatically calculating your percentage of completion. If I head back to my WIP report, all of this is being generated and pulling from different transactions in the system. I have my original contract value, which is going to be what we call a sales order in NetSuite, right? Any additional changes to the scope of work on your project, right? We can delineate that from your original contract value, because we know in construction, there's scope creep all the time. Whether at the beginning of the project, mid phase of the project, or towards the end of the project, there's always little things that come up during that project, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to total that contract value, and that'll ultimately impact potentially your margins as well as your percent complete and earned revenue. And there's going to be fluctuations month to month, and that can be complex in itself. And so you need a system in place that's going to be able to calculate those billings to date as transactions are entered, right? It's going to be able to calculate what your earned revenue is period over period as costs are incurred based off of that cost complete. And then a system that's going to make it easy for you to make those adjustments to your GL to ensure that you have accurate reporting within your source of truth or within your accounting and finance platform. So this is all, these are just some of the things that we've done within our construction bundle, right? With the main piece of it being job costing, being WIP scheduling. And there's a ton of different ways you can slice and dice this information depending on what your requirements are. And so, we can also, as you probably noticed, you can use different features like highlighting tools, but you can also trigger alerts with NetSuite's reporting engine where, say, a project is underbilled, for example, a reminder can pop up on the user's dashboard and it can be triggered, right? Or an email can be sent out to the user with a report attached. So there's a bunch of ways that you can ensure people are up to date on how that project is progressing and how your WIP is being impacted month to month. And so, but now when it's time to make that WIP adjustment at the end of the month, right, you have that calculated value that I pointed out on this report, and then you can book it to the GL either by project or make a lump sum adjustment to your GL. So really simple and really quite efficient there. So I'm going to jump back into PowerPoint here for a second. And I just wanted to sort of recap some of the why is it important to track percentage or leverage percentage of completion method of accounting, as well as why it's important to keep track of your job costs and ensure that you're reporting your WIP accurately. And so job costing and WIP schedules, they're really an important piece of any construction-based accounting system, right? NetSuite enables organizations to leverage all of its best-in-class accounting and finance capabilities to ensure that you're compliant with project accounting standard, right? As we all know, GAAP standards or potentially IFRS. So WIP's important when it comes to construction accounting because the WIP cancels all of that timing and activity out and basically says, I don't care how much you build. I'm interested in the cost incurred and the estimate to say 17% is the amount you can recognize so it can balance everything out. So it doesn't matter how much you build out by a certain time, it's all driven by costs and estimates. So this is just canceling out the timing issues. Otherwise, you'd be really high one year, down really low the next, based on when you get around to billing. And so overall, NetSuite improves your financial accuracy, where percent complete method of accounting is required and can be cumbersome if your data is living in siloed environments there. And so as we shift gears here, we've been talking a lot about job costing and WIP schedules and a few of the complexities that come up with tracking and reporting that information. And so we'll shift our focus to discuss another one of my favorite topics in construction, which is billing. And so as we switch gears here, we're going to focus on how construction companies bill their customers. Construction folks, they deal with different types of jobs that require different types of billing. And depending on the types of projects you deliver, the length of the projects, and if they're high value versus low value contracts, you may use several different types of billing methods. For today, we're going to focus on the three main types that we commonly see. And by no means is this an exhaustive list, but these are the most common billing requirements we see across our customer base. And so the first type of billing I'll quickly discuss is called time and materials billing. Time and materials billing is pretty similar to how it sounds. You're billing a customer for your time and the material cost that you incur. So in this case, we're going to bill a customer for the cost of materials we incurred working on the building. When it comes to labor and equipment, we're going to bill based on the actual time spent using an agreed upon fixed dollar amount. We often see this for projects where scope isn't necessarily well defined, or there's a high likelihood scope will significantly change. And there are some advantages to T&M, right? It allows greater flexibility to accommodate things like change orders or changes to the project, and the cost structure becomes a lot more transparent. But there are some disadvantages of T&M building, and where costs can become unpredictable and may lead to sort of less incentive for overall efficiency. But overall, T&M billing allows you to recapture your overhead and profit in these sort of fixed labor and equipment rates that you use, and NetSuite can support that. The second billing type I want to discuss is cost plus billing. And so the cost plus billing method is fairly similar to a time and material billing, with one very major distinction. With cost plus, the client pays the actual costs incurred by the contractor plus an agreed upon fee or percentage for profit. So you don't necessarily have marked up rates for labor and equipment. You bill for whatever costs are incurred, including labor, right? So instead of using a flat rate of say like $100 an hour, we're going to be very transparent about our costs when billing customers. Our people cost this much per hour, our bills from supplier X and subcontractors are here and cost that much. So these are the costs that we've incurred, total to create a cost plus billing, right? And then finally, to be very transparent, we show how much overhead and profit we're going to be putting on the invoice. And then the customer pays that amount, right? Very simple, very straightforward cost plus billing. Now, the third one, and the one we'll be focusing on today, is progress billing, or sometimes called fixed bid, right? Progress billing, AIA style formatted billing. And so progress billing is sort of the standard and the most common billing type that we see. It's an invoice for just that portion of a project that has been completed so far. So this type of billing is great for longer term projects because it allows construction companies to cover their expenses during the course of the project. And actually in a minute here, we're going to take a look at how our solution supports progress billing scenarios, specifically and at all the different forms used for progress billing that Cheyenne noted earlier. And so let's actually start by discussing the industry standard AIA forms for progress billing. And so there are three forms we typically see. Those are the AIA document G701, which is for change orders, right? AIA document G702, which is a summary sheet of the payment application, and then the AIA document G703. And so together, these three forms make up your payment application. Whether it's referred to as an AIA document or a payment application, essentially the same thing. So what is actually on this billing document, and how does NetSuite support the requirements around AIA style billing, specifically progress billing? So that's what I'll walk through next as I jump here into NetSuite. And so quickly, I want to highlight how our solution can output the necessary documents that you need, specifically AIA certified documents. We're actually one of 5 solutions, but we are the only ERP solution that enables you to generate AIA certified forms within the ERP itself. And so here's an example of a G703 that has been completed, right? You might hear this called a continuation sheet or a schedule of values or simply just a G703. So each time you bill against the contract or each application, right, this document gets updated. First, you can see we have a description of work, and then these are the line items that we're going to bill out on the whole contract. Here's the total scheduled amount that we'll be billing. So this column here shows how much we billed so far, right, in previous applications. And then material is presently stored. That's an interesting concept. You know, in small companies, you may not see this very much, but large companies might need to bill their customers for material costs that they've incurred for material that they're not looking to install for a really long period of time. And so a common example of that is steel. You know, steel can be very hard to come by, and many times contractors will order that steel far in advance of actually needing it to be on the job site and installed. And so those materials would actually show up in this column there. And then here is the total work completed and stored to date. And so here we can see exactly how much percentage-wise and how much on a dollar basis, you know, we've billed on each of these line items. And then finally, here's the retainage, and that is being held on each item. No matter how progress billing is done, any continuation sheet or schedule of values will also break down how retainage is being held. And so as we all know, retainage is just that agreed upon portion of the contract price that is deliberately withheld until the work is substantially complete. And so this leverage sort of helps, you know, to ensure that the contractor or subcontractor will satisfy the work that was agreed upon, and the project is complete to the specifications of the contract. So our solution ultimately supports, you know, the holdback as well as the release of those retention amounts as needed as that project is progressing. And so the next form I wanted to demonstrate here is the G702. And so this is really the cover page of the payment application. And so this is a summary of everything that we saw on that continuation sheet. And so it's going to contain some additional information, such as, you know, who we're billing, the project information, the architect. But this is the piece here that is really important to pay attention to, right? The summary of the original contract price, what the dollar value of approved change orders are, and the total amount completed and stored to date. And so we can see the retainage broken out based on our continuation sheet. So here's the total amount due on this application and the dollar amount that's left to be done. And so if we take a closer look at retainage, you know, based on our progress billing, we actually completed $206,000 worth of work. You know, we have to pay our people and we have to pay the bills that we got from our subcontractors and our material suppliers. And so we've earned that money, but our customer's not going to give us all that, right? So because retainage is being held to ensure we do a good job, they're only going to pay us $86,000, right? Which we can see here. So we agreed in our original contract that they would hold that remaining amount of money until the job is completely done. So in this case, it's 10% retainage, you know, 10% and 15%, very common percentages for retainage. Now, knowing that margins are tight in the construction industry and knowing that, you know, we're only getting paid on 90% of the work that we've completed, we can see why it's so very important to understand overhead so that it, you know, is taken into consideration when we are billing customers. Now we can start, you know, begin billing customers for the work that's been done and begin to earn our money. So progress billing can be difficult to manage if you don't have the right processes and systems in place to support the complexities of progress-based billing. I just wanted to sort of point out how NetSuite with Efficiency's construction solutions is really a connected suite and has the appropriate data model to not only track and report on the necessary metrics and values, but we can also generate AIA certified forms and track and connect all the relevant pieces so that you have the information that you need at your fingertips. And so I just wanted to recap quickly as I'm closing this out on my end. We've primarily focused on construction accounting, right? Job costing and progress billing to be specific. But as you can see on this slide, right, there are many more topic areas in the world of construction, whether we're talking about project accounting or project operations, each of which have their own specific requirements. So I wanted to highlight some of the different areas NetSuite also supports and what makes us a formidable solution in the construction space. NetSuite is built to act as a platform, no different than, say, your Android phone or Apple phone, right? Those devices are specifically built to support a multitude of different functionalities using different apps that you can download. So for example, if you're using your phone as a GPS, you'll download a GPS app, and now you have something that can guide you from point A to point B. NetSuite functions in a very similar way. At its core, it's an ERP platform that has best-in-class financials and accounting management. But NetSuite also supports a variety of different industries, from manufacturing, right? ETO, your fabricators, any service type businesses and product type organizations, but also construction, right? It's easy to use, it's affordable, yet it's powerful and purposely built. As we all know, construction accounting is unique. There are things that we deal with in construction that other businesses don't have to deal with, whether it's progress billing, and that may be, an AIA invoice format or something else. Time and materials billing, unit billing, dealing with purchase orders and committed costs, subcontracts, handling retainage, which we got into today. A construction general ledger can also be complex, and also how WIP ties into that general ledger. Job costing, we know job costing, we covered it at a very high level today. It's really the center of everything we do. It's important as a contractor that we keep our jobs on schedule and on budget. Really the goal of every job is to finish ahead of schedule and under budget. We need to be able to manage the resources, we need to be able to manage the costs, but we need to be able to monitor the progress of that job. For those of you that own equipment, we need to be able to track not only the location of the tools and equipment, but allocate costs, the use of the equipment to the job, right? To get proper job costing, we have to manage all that. And then payroll. I think payroll is complicated enough, no matter what industry you're in. But in construction, we take it to a whole other level where, whether you're a union contractor or a non-union contractor, within the NetSuite ecosystem, we have solutions to manage your union payroll. And then it's important that we're allocating all of the costs of payroll to the job. As I mentioned earlier, certainly tracking of equipment, not only the location of tools and equipment, that's certainly important as a contractor, but also allocating costs for the use of equipment, right? We need to manage purchasing of material, whether we're buying materials specifically for a job, or maybe we're buying some materials, some common everyday materials that we're buying and storing in the warehouse and going to allocate to the job as we use it. And that's certainly an important piece that we can do as well. And then field mobility. As we know, we have a lot of our workforce out in the field. They're on the job site. I need to be able to give them the tools to submit their time, their field reports, expenses, be able to view reports in real time, approve invoices, and a host of other things that people out in the field require and need as part of their day-to-day jobs. So that's all part of the field solution that gives us the ability to communicate effectively and efficiently between the field and the office. And then certainly we have to have strong reporting, proactive reporting. We need to have key dashboards, key reports that allow us to view job costing, to view cost projections, create and produce our WIP schedules, and manage all of that. And with the right solution, we can do all of that and have that built into the system. And so that's just a flavor of ultimately what we can do. With that, we do have one more poll question for the audience. And while that's being answered, I will pass it back to Gatchins to wrap us up here.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. Really appreciate it. Now, at this time, if you have any type of questions, we are happy to take your questions. Please use the uh, respective form to ask your questions. So please post your questions. And Cheyenne, I saw some of the questions come through as we were going through the presentation. Can you go through some of those questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for posing those questions. The first one was whether with our AAA certified AA document generator, you still need to have 2 licenses, and you don't. We actually work with ACD, AA contract documents, and you just need the 1 license through us, which provides you with unlimited prints, which I know that is not actually something that ACD does. But through us, you have that capability to just streamline everything for yourself. The second question that we had is, how is this product priced and how much is the implementation? So this is a great question and it usually comes up. However, because of each company being different and their needs being different, the scope and the depth of the level of effort varies from company to company. So actually, I suggest we set up a meeting to actually discuss your needs and how we can support you. And at that level, we'll be able to provide you with an estimate and all the details required. Let's see if there are any other questions coming in. As we have people going through the polls.
Yeah, at this time, please go through the polls and answer the questions. And I think the poll right now is, what is your biggest pain point with your current software that you're using? And if we can advance the slides to the very end, that'll be great too. All right, any other questions in the queue?
Yeah, so we got another hit actually on union calculations. I know we talk a lot about it with our different clients. We certainly do, and rest assured we have solutions already, prepared through our experience that will support you with all the different union calculation requirements. Awesome. So we are almost at time. I don't see. Oh, another question. Thank you. How long is a typical implementation? Maybe I'll pass it on to Gedgens and Eric for this one.
Yeah, sure. Eric, would you like to take that one on?
Yeah, and so it really depends on the complexity of the company's footprint. But typically we see implementations average anywhere around 4 to 6 months. 4 months for a company that has, say, a smaller functional requirement, and 6 months for a mid to large size company. This is where we would work with your team to understand, what you need from a modular perspective. Understanding, NetSuite as a platform has a lot to offer. And depending on what your needs are today versus what your needs are in the future, that implementation timeline can vary depending on the level of effort and what ultimately is being implemented. But happy to have that discussion if you're looking to evaluate NetSuite, as we have a whole team that can support you in the strategy and how that implementation process works.
Yeah, specifically, I'll always step two, and even from a software point of view, depending on the modules that you need to support your business, we will help you go through that process, do that assessment with you, and based on the module that you choose, the price will fluctuate as well. And a really good relationship with NetSuite to really make sure that you take advantage of the best discount possible, and we will help you through that process. And this is actually one of the key benefits of really working with partners like us, because we will champion your cause with NetSuite, make sure that you have the most favorable terms and the best discount possible with NetSuite. So we take care of everything for you and make sure that you get the best deal with purchasing NetSuite. All right. Any other questions in the queue, guys? I think that was the last question.
Yeah, that was the last question in the queue.
All right, great. Well, At the end of this particular webinar, you will see a survey that will be sent to you. You will also receive a copy of this webinar recording for you to take a look at your leisure. What we would like to do is really invite you to schedule a one-on-one meeting with us so that we can really go through the process of assessing which modules will be best for you, and also provide you some specifics around how long your specific implementation will take. And so at this point, I would like to thank you for attending the Cumula 3 Spotlight for the construction industry with Appficiency. We would love the opportunity to help you further assess NetSuite and Appficiency. So please visit our website so we can schedule an assessment with you and book a one-on-one meeting. And we certainly look forward to hearing from you very, very soon. Thank you everyone for your time. This is the end of the webinar.